right, excellent. Welcome back. My name is Julieanne Cost, and we're going to continue with the top 10 ways to automate Lightroom. So we left off with number 5. We're now on to number 6. Let's move over to the Develop module. Here is where you really need to start taking advantage of presets in the Develop module. Now, most people are pretty aware of how to create a preset. Let's actually pick a different image, maybe this image here to look at while we're working here. We know that we can create presets over here. In fact, Lightroom ships with a lot of different presets, and if we show our navigator here, we can actually see as we roll over the different presets what the image would look like. But I've taken some time and I've actually created some presets of my own. And what I found that was very helpful was for every group of presets that I have, whether it's selective color removal or toning or vignetting, I have a reset preset. So now I can try all of these different presets and apply them, but if I don't like them, all I need to do is reset it. So how did I do that? Well, let's go to the selective color removal area. You'll notice there's no reset preset here. So all I would need to do is click the preset icon, make sure that I'm going to save this in the selective color removal. And for me, the selective color adjustments remove color using the HSL panel. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the vignetting, and instead I will turn on the color adjustments here. And then in order to make this appear at the top, I'll hold down the Shift key and just tap the 8 key in order to give me this character, and I will call it Reset Color Adjustments. Excellent, and hit create. So now I can go through all of my different options, and these may not make sense to you, but they make sense for me. For example, the reduce ROYM, that's going to be red, orange, yellow, magenta, -50. All right, or I could just go in and remove aqua, but I can always come back here and reset them. So most of the time when I make presets, I'm really only focused on one thing. Like I'm only focused on the color, or I'm only focused on toning. For example, here I've got auto black and white, and then I can go in and make it any tone that I want. But that's separate from the vignette presets because, you know, sometimes I might want to tone something with a white vignette and sometimes I might want to tone it with a black vignette. So I don't want to put those into one preset. I'd rather have them independent. Since presets are additive, I can go ahead and add the white vignette or add the dark black vignette or the medium or the light vignette independently of the color toning. All right, but that's not the only place that you can make presets. A lot of folks don't realize that both the adjustment brush and the graduated filter, you can save presets over here. All you do is you set up the parameters the way you want them and then simply save the current settings as the new presets. So if you're typically warming up your skies with a graduated filter that has a color, then go ahead and set that up. Like this one, I've got the graduated filter, which has an orange color down here. Set it up once and save it as a preset. Okay, one last thing, and it doesn't really have to do with presets, but it is the Develop module. If you have more than one image selected, like I'll select these 3 down here in the film strip, of course, there's the Auto Sync button. So since we're talking about automating, and we're in the Develop module, the Auto Sync button can save you a ton of time. If you've got 50 images that all need the same correction or all need the same vignette, turn on Auto Sync, and you do that by just flipping the little switch here, turn that on, and then whatever you click on, whatever preset will be applied to all of those selected items. All right, number 7. Before we leave the Develop module, we should just take a look at the before and after. Now, if we click this icon, you'll notice that there's actually a flyout. We can either get a before and after left, right. We can have one image that's split. We can have a top bottom, and we can have a top bottom split. So that's up to you how you like to display it. Let's start with the before and after. What I want to show you is actually down here in the snapshots and history area. Because people always ask me, they say, you know, I've been working along on my image and I've got it to a certain point. But then I just want to make a few other adjustments, and I want to see the before and after of just those few adjustments. I don't want to see the before of when I actually imported the file. So it's a great thing to know that you can drag from any state in history into the before state. So if I use my cursor to kind of thumb over the ones that I like, see how I'm seeing that in the navigator. If I want to compare the green 20 to this after state, all I need to do is drag and drop it right there. Aha, and for those of you who are using the snapshots, right, because history, I mean, it's great in Lightroom because it stays forever, but some people like snapshots because it's a real easy way to just pick between two different modes, like one color mode and one grayscale mode. You can make a snapshot of anything. So let's actually switch these so that the green tone is the aftertone. All right, and I'm going to make a snapshot. So I'll use the little plus icon and we'll say green tone. All right. Oops, I think I spelled it wrong, but that's okay. Green tone. So my point is that I can click on any snapshot here and it'll put it in the after state there. But I can also right mouse click and say copy the snapshot settings to the before state. So you can't actually drag and drop like you can with history, but you should know that if you right mouse click, you can copy that snapshot to that state. All right, excellent. That's the before and after with number 7. Number 8, once you're done making all these changes to your images and you go back to the library module, now is kind of the time where you're either going to export a lot of images or you're going to go ahead and edit them in Photoshop. Regardless of what you're going to do, you need to make a preset for it because it will save you so much time. Let's look, for example, if I go into the Lightroom menu and I go here to my preferences, you'll notice there's an external editing preference. Sorry, if you're on Windows, you would go into the edit menu to get your preferences. In external editing, these are the default options when you say edit in Photoshop. These are the default settings that Lightroom is going to basically hand off or bake the file. It's going to turn it from that raw file into a TIFF file or a PSD file, whatever you select here at whatever color, space, bit depth, and resolution. But if you're like me, you kind of like more options than that, right? So what I've done, you can see down here, I actually have created an additional external editor, which is really easy. You just go in and you choose the application. So in this case, I'll click the choose button, go to applications, and my secondary external editor is also going to be Photoshop. And I know that sounds a little funny, but I'm going to use it anyway, because what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, sometimes I might like these options, but other times I want these options. And the great thing is that once you save these as new presets, I don't even have to come into this dialog box again, right? I can now go to Photo and say Edit In, and here are those different presets that I can choose from. All right, and of course I don't have to use the menu items. I can also just right mouse click, say Edit In, and again, there are those presets. And if I was going to export instead, I'd click the Export button. I would set up all the different parameters here, click Add, and save it as a preset. So you can see I have presets for high-res JPEGs, JPEGs at 1,000 pixels, Adobe RGB, quality of 90. I've got low-res. I've got when I want to export and I know I'm going to retouch photos, they might be going to Photoshop files at 16-bit. You see what I've done? I've just set up all these great presets. Then the next time I want to export, I just go under the File menu here and say Export with a preset, and here are all of those presets. So again, it's not only that presets save you time, just that you don't have to go to so many dialog boxes, but they're also really going to save you from making mistakes, because we all make mistakes. So I figure the more presets I can have, the fewer mistakes I'm going to make, especially when I'm in a hurry, especially when I'm under deadline. Okay, number 9, slideshow, print, and web. Again, I hate to say it, but it's all about the presets. I mean, I don't think that many people will have a whole lot of different ways that they want to display their images. Maybe 5 different templates for slideshows. As soon as you set up all your parameters here, all you want to do is just save it in the user template area here. That way you can quickly move back and forth. Here's a basic black one with a logo. Here's one with an identity plate overlay to the right-hand side. Set it up and then just click on the plus icon here to save your templates. Exact same thing in print, although I expect in print you'll probably have a lot more presets. So for example, if I wanted to print this single image up 17 inches with an overlay here, this is an ID, an identity plate that I've just placed in there. I can do that really quickly. I can move over here if I want to select 2 images and print them right next to each other as a diptych. If I've got a multi-page layout here using the new custom layout in Lightroom 3, it's so easy to simply drag and drop my images into these containers. And of course, if they're not the right aspect ratio and I want to actually reposition them, I can hold down the Command key or the Control key and just reposition them within that cell there. But my point is that you want to set up all of these different templates, because the brilliant thing in Lightroom is that the page setup and the print settings are all saved as part of this template. So you know how when you get everything ready in Photoshop and then you go to print, you have to fill in all of those parameters like your printer and the paper and the color management and all of that. You can set that up once here, save it as your preset. You can go print 500 images today, not print for a year, come back and use that exact same preset and all the settings will be correct, so you don't have to worry about it. Again, it's just something, it's one less thing that I have to worry about. And the same thing for creating web modules, right? Once you've got your template set up, you're going to use that template probably over and over again for different clients if they're posting their images on the web. So just set it up and save that out as a template. All right, number 10, we're going to move back to the library module for a moment, because what we found out was that many people are posting images to the web, or they're blogging about them, or they're handing them off to clients on a daily basis. And in order to keep track of that, we've come up with these published services. Now, I've seen this demonstrated a lot, and what we typically demonstrate it is with photostream. So you can basically, this is like a collection. You set up your photostream, your Flickr photostream here, and if I just right mouse click here, we could go into the edit settings area, but it looks a lot like the export dialog box. You set up all the settings like what size and what file naming and what format and quality you want to export the files to your Flickr photostream. You set all of that up here, and then it keeps track of your published photos. So let's say, for example, I wanted to publish another photo. I could come up here to my digital illustrations, and I could simply say, you know what, I would like to also add this image. So we'll drag back down here to my photo stream, drag that right in there, and now look at the screen is split. These photos have all been published, but this is a new photo to publish. So excellent. If I want to publish this, all I need to do is click the publish button. So instead of me having to keep track of, gosh, I'm not really sure if I posted that or not, Lightroom is doing that for me. Again, it's automating the tasks that I really don't want to do. And since it can do it, thank goodness I don't have to. Not only that, but let's say, for example, you do have a published photo, and it's not just for Flickr either. If I have a client that I wanted to hand off files to, here's client A. I've just got a folder. Okay, so instead of posting stuff to the web, it's just going to export these images to a folder. So I have a client, it's called Adobe, and that's my client A. And I have already published all of these images for that client. But what if I went into like this image and tapped the V key in order to convert it to grayscale? Well, look at this. Lightroom even keeps track of the fact that I've made a change. So now it split the screen and said, hey, you've got some modified photos. So just to let you know, when you handed this photo off to your client, it didn't look like this. You've made changes. So now I don't even have to keep track of that. If my client told me to fix, picture A, B, and C, and I've made changes to it, my published collection will know about those changes, and all I need to do is click publish in order to update that folder of images so that I can send them off to my client again. So that was quick. But those are the top 10 ways, in my opinion, that I feel that we can really automate Lightroom. It's been so rewarding for me because there are a lot of tasks that I don't really like to do. I like to spend a lot of time in Photoshop actually compositing and manipulating my images. So it's been quite a relief to allow Lightroom to kind of do all of these repetitive tasks. I mean, it does it so well, and honestly, it's quite easy once you set up all your presets. So I hope you'll take advantage of all the automation that Lightroom has to offer so that you can get out there, get away from your computer, and go out and start shooting some more, or start spending more time in Photoshop. Thanks for joining me. I'm Julieanne Cost. I hope to see you again on the next episode of The Complete Picture.